Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday morning, and I've got to run off and do nursing homes, care centers this morning. So we'll get right with it. I have to leave here by 9:30, so the program won't go that long today. I'll find a good stopping place. Um, we're in Acts chapter 27. We finished Acts chapter 26 today. 27, of course, is about the major part of Paul's journey where they have so much trouble in the ship and his journey by sea to Rome from Caesarea Philippi. Now, chapter 26, of course, was Paul's defense before Agrippa with Festus present, of course, the governor. And then after it was over, we'll just recap just that much from yesterday in verse 30, chapter 26 of the Acts. It says, and when Paul had thus spoken, the king rose up, and the governor, Festus, and Bernice, and they that sat with them, and when they were gone aside, they talked between themselves, saying, this man doeth nothing worthy of death or of bonds. And then Agrippa said unto Festus, this man might have been set at liberty, had he not appealed unto Caesar. So Paul is going to Rome, of course. He's not going the way that he planned to go in the beginning, but he's going. That happens to a lot of us. I was going to be a preacher, but the kind of preacher I turned out to be wasn't what I imagined. I imagined me sitting in a really academic-looking office, with like a professor or something, and with old books on the shelves all around me, and my desk that was cluttered, and my secretary typing my notes. Of course, I had no idea about computers back then. You either typed a draft triple space so that you could write your notes and then retyped it, or you wrote it out in longhand on a yellow legal pad, and then typed it up. And I thought that would be the height of glory for a preacher, to have a secretary to type up his notes. And on the eighth day, God said, let there be notes. And there were notes. I got all kinds of notes. I don't remember what they mean anymore. But I'm going to do something different when we get to Isaiah. That's where we're going next. I'm going to teach it a little different. I'm going to go through it a little different because I want to show Jesus. Jesus just shines through all of Isaiah. And I want to point those things out to you. So Paul is going to Rome, not like he planned. Well, I'm a preacher, not like I planned. My office is the kitchen. My desk is the kitchen table, but we don't eat in the kitchen. We eat in the dining room in there because I use this for a little office. Well, you have another room, Jimmy. Why don't you make that your office? Well, I did, but that don't work. Because of my ailments, I like to be close to the coffee pot and to the toilet. So I live in the kitchen. I'm a kitchen hermit. They call me the old man who lives in the kitchen here at the Harris Hacienda. You have to go in there and see if he's grumpy or not, like when the kids come or something. I'm a preacher, but it is not how I imagined. But I've preached places that I never imagined I would be. And I'm grateful for every one of them. Because I imagine if I was Dr. Harris or Professor Harris that I would just be unbearable. because of my ego. I would really think I was something if I was Dr. Harris, professor at such and so, esteemed professor at Dallas Theological Seminary, our famous Greek scholar and expert in antiquities, Dr. James L. Harris, with 2 R's and 2 S's. Oh my. God, in all his wisdom, knew that my ego, which sometimes is the size of a dinosaur, could not stand that kind of meal. And so he broke me in two and used me another way. I regret the education and the experiences I missed, but I'm thankful for those that I have. And just like Paul, at 70, he was getting close to 70 there, I imagine. Just do the math. I am still here to preach to small and great. And I have. I don't know if it changed anything. I don't know if they remember. If you look at the Southern Baptist Convention, nobody listened to me, obviously. But I'm still preaching to both small and great. And I am grateful. This man might have been set at liberty if he had not appealed unto Caesar. So Paul is going to Rome anyway, in chains instead of as a missionary, but he's going as a missionary nonetheless, as we know and shall see as we finish up the book of Acts. In chapter 27 of the Acts, when Paul is sent, Festus has sent him to Rome, beginning in verse 1. And when it was determined that we should sail into Italy, this is Luke writing this. Wherever we see we, Luke is writing. Whenever you see they, Luke is still writing, but he had not joined the team yet. Apparently he joins the team at Troas, or right before they get to Troas. Yeah, that was at Troas when they took on Luke. That's in chapter 16 of the Troas is where the they changes to we. So Luke got from Acts chapter 1 verse 1 through Acts chapter 16 verse 10. Luke got it second hand from the rest of the team. And then from now on, from Luke 16:10 till the end of chapter 28, Luke is writing first-hand account. Good old Dr. Luke, the proselyte Jew. And when it was determined that we should sail into Italy, they delivered Paul and certain other prisoners unto one Julius, a centurion of Augustus's band. And entering into a ship of Adramyttium, we launched, meaning to sail by the coast of Asia, one Aristarchus of Macedonia and Thessalonica being with us. And the next day we touched at Sidon, it's in Lebanon. And Julius courteously entreated Paul and gave him liberty to go unto his friends to refresh himself. Man, I'd like a bath and some fried chicken and a chance to preach to and encourage and lift up the brethren. And when we had launched from thence, from Sidon, we sailed under Cyprus because the winds were contrary. Normally they would not have gone on the south side of Cyprus. They would have gone straight. A straight line would have taken them to Italy. And when we had sailed over the sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra, a city of Lycia, or Lycia. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. So see, they're not in a Roman galley. What Julius has done is he's taken Paul and the other prisoners, and also the people accompanying Paul who are not prisoners, and he books them passage and as far as that ship goes, and then he finds another ship going to the next place he wants to go. He apparently does not have a Roman galley at his disposal, but the empire is paying for the passage, and I'm sure he had the coin to put in the palm of the shipmaster and the harbor master and the dock master and whoever else they had to pay off. And there at Myra, they found a centurion. The centurion found a ship. I'm sorry. I'm moving a little slow. I know I'm trying to perk myself up. I even comb my hair. I'm trying to perk myself up, to go to the nursing home. They need to be lifted up. They don't need to see me tired. I can go there and pretend that I'm excited and good for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever I have to. Da 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 da. What a fellowship, what a joy is mine. Yeah. I can do it in the name of Jesus. I'm really weird. If I have an appointment, I go. Isn't that strange? Because when Dr. Adrian scheduled this, he had no idea whether I'd be sick or not. As a matter of fact, I have to go all the more because he has a doctor's appointment to follow up on his surgery from a couple of weeks ago. And that was at 8:30, and he's hoping to be at our appointment at 10. But who knows whether he will be or not. But at 10 o'clock, good Lord willing, and the church don't rise, at 10 o'clock, Jimmy Harris will start playing the fiddle. I'll probably play a medley of soft tunes to because it's kind of a quiet place, to kind of draw people into the activity room like a Pied Piper. Sweet hour of prayer, and I surrender all. Christ the Lord is risen today, those kinds of things. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and they put us therein. Now, I believe this is a grain ship. If you know anything about Roman history, it's like over 1 million people in Rome and a lot more in the general vicinity, the metro. It's kind of hard to think of Rome as a metro, but the hubs were, the nearest towns, they were all dependent on Egyptian grain. This was why Caesar fought a war with Egypt's Agrippa, a different Agrippa, and the Ptolemies, and why why he had the alliance with Cleopatra and was to ensure and secure the delivery of Egyptian grain to feed Rome, because there were more people in Rome at that time, because it was the capital of the world. There were more people there than the neighboring countryside could supply. They'd outgrown they'd outpopulated the acreage. They were all jammed into one place. So acquisition and distribution were the major logistics for Caesar, for Julius Caesar. And this would have been back around 50, 48, whatever BC. They argue about when he was killed because the calendars change. Some say as late as 44 BC. Regardless, this ship from Alexandria, Egypt, as we shall see, turns out to be a grain ship. Egyptian grain, Egyptian wheat grown in the Nile Valley. Ship to feed Roman bellies. When the ships would come in and they would dock, they would be unloaded by the criminals or the workers on the Aventine. And then it would be distributed by another group. Of course, everybody's taking their little cut along the way. I guarantee you that none of those dock workers, none of their houses went hungry, no matter what happened. The joke about truck drivers is that, well, if if you haul produce, there's no reason for you to ever be hungry. If you're broke, you can stop and eat a tomato or something. They don't do it like that anymore. Boy, they put a seal on the back of that thing, and if it's, I think, what I'm told, they put a seal on the back of your trailer, and if it's broken, you're in serious trouble. They start counting every kiwi. So they're on a grain ship, which I will show later because they have to throw the grain overboard. Verse 6, chapter 27, the Acts. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. So they're in an Egyptian freighter, and they're going to Italy. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. And when we'd sailed slowly many days, and scarce were come over against Cnidus, the wind not suffering us, they had ill winds, as they would say. He was having trouble tacking to go the direction he wanted to go. I don't know that much about sailing except what I see on TV and what I've read about. I know that of course you can sail against the wind, but you have to tack. You have to catch the wind in your sails and go this way a little bit, and then go that way a little bit, then go this way a little bit. Kind of like climbing steps, but on the same plane. Sideways, another one. Margaret, God bless you. Glad you're with us. And when we had sailed slowly many days, and scarce were come over against Cnidus, the wind not suffering us, we sailed under Crete. You're getting closer. Over against Salmone, and hardly passing it, came unto a place that is called the Fair Havens, nigh whereunto was the city of Lasea. Not to be confused with Lycia. This is Lasea. Now when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished him. It's in the fall. Oh no, broke down in West Texas. Well, don't blow away, Margaret. Find a fire plug or something to hold on to. I hope you got help on the way. Everybody I know down there is dead except my uncle, and he's 85. I don't think he can help you. The fast was now already past, and they were in danger. Unless you had to, you didn't sail the Mediterranean in the fall before winter. That's the worst weather of the year, they say. Winds, rains, storms, hurricane strength winds. Maybe not quite typhoons like they have in the Indian Ocean, but big deal, you know. They shouldn't have been out there, but they had been delayed by bad weather. Yes, Margaret, Texas is beautiful. You know, we have a state song. We used to sing it. It's not the state song. Texas, Our Texas is the state song. But there was an old folk song that came out of West Texas called Beautiful Texas. I learned it on the guitar when I was about 8. Beautiful, beautiful Texas, the land where the blue bonnets grow. Beautiful, beautiful Texas, from here I never shall go. I was born in Houston, and all my people came from Kimball County. That's where Junction is. Now, when much time was spent, when sailing was now dangerous because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. Paul is warning the shipmaster. He said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage. How did he perceive it? God told him. God was talking to Paul. How do I know he was talking to Paul? Well, Paul said that God talked to him. But also, God talked to him, we know, because in Amos, the old prophet says, Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. Or shall not the Lord do somewhat, except he tells us whatever it is? Oh, you're in East Texas. You're in the piney woods. You know, East Texas is just about the same as Louisiana because it was just all one deal when I was a kid. I had so many Cajun friends, you just couldn't shake a stick at them. They didn't even eat bread. They ate rice instead of bread. They asked me to stay to supper, and I knew not to ask for the bread because they didn't have any. They had rice and etouffee and gumbo and boudin. They ate it for breakfast and sometimes for supper. Boy, I love the food. I never could pick up the lingo, though, even though I worked with Fiddling Frenchy Burke for 2 years and played on a bunch of his records. I never could. Of course, my French is terrible, as my dear high school friend Marie Pontier would be quick to tell you. Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. We're in danger, guys. You need to listen to me, Paul said. God told me. Instead of saying God told me, he said, I perceive. This is what I understand is going to happen. Well, he knew that these pagans, if he said God told them, they wouldn't listen to him. And he's interested in saving the people on the ship, saving their bodies. Maybe he can save their souls afterward if they keep them alive. You can't save somebody when they're already dead, contrary to what our Catholic friends teach. Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than these things which were spoken of by Paul. I'm not sure how this worked. Did the centurion become commander of the ship because he represented Rome? We'll find out later that the shipmaster and the ship owner would follow Julius's directions later on. I don't know if this was a practice or not. Maybe Julius was just such a man, a respected man, that when he spoke with authority, people just did what he said. We know that Paul was not imposing physically. They said that his speech was contemptible. So maybe he didn't have a powerful oration, an oratorical voice. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he was small. Maybe he was nearly blind by this time. We don't know. Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and owner of the ship more than those things which were spoken by Paul. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more port advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attend to Phoenicia, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lie toward the southwest and northwest. They'd be on the right side to go off toward Italy. They didn't believe Paul. And where they had pulled up, it wasn't good to winter there. They wanted what they called a lee, a windbreak, an inlet, someplace that they could stay out of the wind and maybe camp out, which tells me they had plenty of food to wait out the winter. I know this seems crazy to the modern traveler. You know, you take off from Caesarea to sail a few hundred miles, and then on your way stop and just wait until spring. But people did it back then when they didn't have no choice. I mean, everybody's heard of the Donner Party and what happened to them, but people started as soon as the ground was hard enough from the winter thaw, the spring thaw. As soon as the ground was hard enough to run wagons on, they took off for California because they knew if they didn't, and then when they get to California, it'd already be snowing in the mountains. They knew that if they slowed down, if they waited, if they stopped, if they paused, that they'd get caught in the mountains and would die. Or they'd have to hold up someplace and wait until spring. It was very common, even up to 100 years ago, and in many parts of the world. And modern travel was unknown. And the weather and the times, soldiers, wars, famines, they controlled your schedule, not your iPhone or whatever you got. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain unto Phoenicia, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, which lie toward the southwest and the northwest, with Italy being southwest, northwest, and Italy being up here. And when the south wind blew softly, They needed to move a little north. Supposing they had obtained their purpose, and loosing thence, they sailed close by Crete. So they're heading for Crete. We're going to stop here. It's a natural place to stop because the storm brews up and comes tomorrow on the next lesson. I am always moved when I read this because Paul knows what's going on because God told him. And Paul knows that it's true because God told him. But he can't convince the experts because they don't believe, and most of the time they won't believe. But I think most of you are believers, or at least you're interested in the things of God, the real God, the God who lives forever. Not TV Jesus, not TV David, and all that stuff. That's all BS. Most of that is not real in any sense of the word. It's all made up. It's Hollywood. You find the real God here in the Bible, revealed in Jesus Christ. In chapter 33 of Jeremiah, God says through Jeremiah, call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great things and mighty things which thou knowest not. I'll tell you stuff you never heard of. I'll tell you stuff you never imagined, Jimmy. Oh, and he has. Does he talk to me every day? No. Does he listen to me every day? Yes. Almost all the time, he speaks to me through his word. Just like I came to this verse, Jeremiah 33:3. I keep the Bible because, short-term memory's gone. I have trouble remembering all the words. Most of the time, I'll get the phrases right and I'll get them in the wrong order, but I don't want to do that. So I always have this Bible in front of me. But he does tell me things that I don't even don't even suspect. And even, like I'm saying, even now, the way he does it most of the time, I said, Jimmy, don't you remember what I said about that? And I think to myself, well, yeah, you said that. You told Jeremiah that. And I can go back and look and I can say, well, this is where God told Jeremiah that. And when he does that, he's talking to me. God says, Jimmy, call unto me and I will answer thee. Oh, and he has. There has never been a time when I called upon him that he didn't answer me. Call unto me and I will answer thee and show thee great things and mighty things which thou knowest not. That's what he did to Paul. That's how Paul knew that they were in trouble. But he could not convince the centurion and the captain and the master and the owner. Could not convince them. Now, I've been told that this is one person, the master and the owner, and that's quite possible. Quite possible. Quite. It might have been that the owner of the ship saved his money and bought his own ship, and he's out of the imperial service of Rome or whatever. Now he's a merchant, and he's got a merchant ship. And so the master and the owner, but the way it's phrased, I think it's two separate people. It doesn't matter. If you want to think it's one person, go ahead. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that Paul tried to tell them and warn them because God had warned Paul and they would not listen. When God talks to you, you better listen. You'll be in trouble if you don't. Well, we got programs this morning. God bless you. And I will see you all tomorrow.